All right, should be working now. It is now recording. So thank you for coming, everybody. Titi, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. So my name is Ben Eden. I'm a speaker and coach, and I'm glad that you guys all joined today. Today we're going to be talking about divine connections, and I'm glad to be joined by Otiti Wright. How I first met her was back in about December. I was on a speaker's coaching call, and I met somebody there who was on LinkedIn. I followed his posts, found out, and then I talked to him on the phone later. He told me about the hashtag call for speakers. I looked that up on LinkedIn, found Titi's conference called the Leaders Conference that happened in March, and I applied to that. Sadly, her spots were already filled at the time. However, she and I felt something special about our connection, and we thought we should be connected regardless. So we connected through LinkedIn, started a conversation, and long story short, she was nice enough to squeeze me in, and I got to speak at that conference last March. It was fantastic. Ever since, it's been a great relationship. I've grown a lot with her, and what I wanted to do today is invite her, and she and I can have a little discussion on divine connections and how we can make those ourselves. So I'm pleased to introduce Titi. She is a speaker, author, event planner, great person, all around fantastic. So I'll turn some time over to her. Titi, tell us about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Hello, everyone. My name is Otiti, affectionately known to many as Titi. I am an author. I have a fiction novel. I have a self-help book, and I love hosting events where my community that's virtually online meet together once a year so that we can all connect, collaborate, and do, it's almost like a family reunion once a year. So I enjoy hosting events, and I'm really, really thankful that me and Ben connected, because most importantly, when Ben reached out to me on LinkedIn, the slots were already taken care of. All of the speakers, influencers, everything was done. But for some odd reason, I felt that divine connection was there, and I reached back out to Ben and asked him if we could do a conference call, and I even told him on the phone, it's something about you, I don't know what it is. And I think a couple of days went by, and we discussed him coming from Utah to South Carolina. So I'm just really excited to be in connection with Ben.
Awesome, thank you. So Titi, since then, have you had any other experiences, or everybody listening today, I'm sure, has had some cool experiences. What's another thought you might want to tell people about the importance of connections and how, there might be a higher power involved in that?
Yeah, well, I always believe that any and everything that we do is spiritually connected. Sometimes it could be good and sometimes it could be bad, but I don't like using the term bad. Everything that we go through, we should be learning something, right? Every connection that we go through, everyone that we speak with, whether it's short or long term, we should be learning something. And what God does, and this is my personal opinion, but what God does is place certain people in our lives for us to connect to, for us to grow from, and for us to learn, of course, because sometimes we as individuals are humans. Sometimes it takes us a little longer to learn. So God does little things and bring little people in our life so that we show up as our best person or our best self. And so sometimes it won't always be peaches and cream. Sometimes that person will cause you to, basically what I like to say is, level up in areas of your life where you're lacking.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are on the Zoom call right now, if you're not aware already, there's this chat feature. So if there's something that we say that you agree with, you can put a yeah or amen or whatever you want in that chat. Also, if there's a question you might have, feel free to put that there, and then Titi and I can talk about that. So right now, we all know what's happening in the world, and sometimes with our changed schedules where we're spending more time at home, our schedules are different, so maybe we're bored, we're lonely, things like that, then it's another important time to be able to reach out and make connections. For example, I mean, like you guys already know, I've known Titi for a while now, but there was a week or two ago, where I was a little lonely. And she helped me remember that, hey, we're a family. We're here to help each other. So let's reach out and use that connection. One other thing last week, just with the speakers, if I'm on a call like this is an opportunity for all of you to look at the names and say, hey, maybe I want to reach out to them. I know you're not going to hear much from them, but you can look them up on social media and say, hey, I was on that call. What else do you do? And maybe we can connect, because those are valuable connections that you can make. Any thoughts to that, TT?
Yeah, I think that that's very, very important. And especially with what's going on now in the world, like I feel that this is an opportunity for us to lean more on one another, to build genuine connections and relationships, most importantly, because what's going on in the world right now plays a lot with us physically, but also mentally. So for those of us who are actually practicing social distancing and is home, I think that one of the things that I said, let me back up. One of the things that I said I was going to make sure I do is that I was going to make sure I connect with individuals more, whether it was through text message or calling, or my favorite thing that I like to do is emails, because you never know where someone's mindset is, especially now with all of the news. It's all over the news. It's all over social media. This is something that's happening worldwide. So I've been wanting to mostly connect more with individuals and kind of shy away from the structured life that I've been living. You know, I would always say, okay, let's schedule a call on this date, and I'll write it down. Now I find myself just inboxing, hey, can you talk tomorrow at such and such a time? Are you free? Because you can be that shoulder or that voice to lift someone else up. You know, I go through a lot of stuff as well as everyone else, and I just want to be that source to individuals to let them know, you know, nothing necessarily has to be going wrong, but just to let them know they have a shoulder. Or, you know, if they want to discuss anything, I'm always open and willing to speak with anyone.
Absolutely. And I know those words to be true.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely not just saying it, able to reach
Mm-hmm.
out whenever. So it's been very valuable to me, and I hope that you guys can use those words and try to apply them either tonight or sometime this week and say, hey, whether I'm lonely or sad or bored, or maybe I'm just feeling great, who can I reach out to individually and just see how they're doing? So you don't have to have a problem. You don't have to have necessarily a reason, but it's just like, hey, I haven't spoken to so-and-so for a little while. So let me reach out and see how they're doing. And I'll tell you, after that call, you'll either just feel better because you connected with somebody, or you may end up helping each other in some way. Something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now that we have a lot of people on the call, this is something that's going to happen every week, a conversation like this. And I want to keep it short. It'll feel like a podcast of sorts, maybe 15 minutes, right? So we're going to respect that time. It'll be recorded and shared through social media, so you can find it later and share with your friends. But to end, we talked about divine connections. Remember that those are true. You've heard some of those stories, and I encourage you to try it. To end with this, as a speaker, I speak about overcoming emotional pain. So I wanted Titi to share an experience about some emotional pain that she has had and how she overcame that.
The most significant emotional pain that I've endured was in 2012. I was struggling with depression. I didn't really know too much about depression. It was something that I kind of sort of saw on TV, but I wasn't familiar with it, because I never really saw anyone in my household or in my family go through what I went through. But during that time, I was going through a lot of stuff. And one of the most important things that I remember is that colors seemed very dull. The grass seemed dull, the sky seemed dull, everything was dull and dim. And then one day, someone brought to my attention that I was always wearing black. And though black is my favorite color, I also do like colors too. And during that time, as I was going through, you know, I was getting more spiritually connected, but I still needed some type of help. So I was on antidepressants. I was going to a counselor, and what I had to go through was understanding that I was putting myself on the back burner with a lot of things in life. I was so busy helping everyone else. And this was before I was thinking about being a speaker, before I was thinking about being an author. Actually, honestly, during that time frame, me and my mom had a discussion, and she said, you know, ultimately it will be your decision on how you go forward. You can be on antidepressants for however long, but you have to make that decision. So I decided during that time frame to start writing and start using my creative forces to create another force, maybe, I don't know the word, another type of living outside of my normal living. And that's how I created my first fiction novel. So I kind of escaped what my world, you know, my present world was at that time. And that helped me. I just kept being hands-on mentally. And, you know, after a year and several months, I was able to come off the antidepressants, which was very, very good because antidepressants reacts differently in everyone. For me, it caused me to be emotionless. And I missed a lot of my younger children's lives because I was emotionally unavailable. The medicine pretty much numbed me. So when I was able to get out of that, and even so, I had to have an emergency hysterectomy and I had 2 blood clots in my lungs. I made a decision that not only do I want to be here for my children, but I want to be here for myself because there's so much growth and so much other dreams that I had nestled inside of me. And that's how my business was birthed, because I was able to direct that energy, that negative energy, into something positive, which yielded a lot of positive outcomes, you know, over the years. We're in 2020 and I established my business back in 2013.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that story. I find some neat things to gather from that, and hopefully you can all take these too, where others who care about us notice and can help us, right? Like her mom did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try changing this speaker view real quick. There we go. We're just
Okay.
going to try this for the end. No, that won't work because it's on my other iPad. Sorry. And you wrote about it, TT. That is so important.
Mm-hmm.
When we have emotional pain of any sort, from whatever source, it's important to experience it so that we can move on. If you just try to hide it and you say, well, that sucked, but I'm just going to live life anyway, I'm telling you, it'll follow you.
Yes.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
So thanks for everybody being here and watching now and watching later. We talked about divine connections and overcoming emotional pain. You're welcome to connect to anybody here. TT, how can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Well, you can join my private Facebook group, the Leaders Community. You see my name up on the screen above, which is OTITI. There's only 2 other people in the world that has that name, and it's myself and my cousin. This is a name that my father gave us. And that's pretty much it. Anywhere you see Otiti, OTITI, that's she.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining, TT, and thanks to everybody here. And like I say, we'll respect your time, so we'll see you next week. Talk to you later.
Bye.